in the reply to the debate on the speech from the throne for my maiden speech in this House. First of all, Mr. Speaker, I want to say thanks to you. Monsieur le Président, j'aimerais vous souhaiter mes félicitations dans votre nouveau poste. Comme whip, je comprends bien que votre travail n'est pas simple. Il sera difficile de contrôler 54 députés quand il y aura des débats importants. I would like to begin by thanking the members of my constituency, the people of Fredericton Silverwood, who have given me this honor to represent them here in this House. I take this honor very seriously, and I very much appreciate the trust they have bestowed in me in this period. Carrying the name Macdonald can have a good side and a bad side. And it sometimes offers anonymity, which I used to enjoy in my previous life. It also carries a burden. And in this House, the member from York has set a high bar for us. And as a true legislator and an old-time politician, to carry the name Macdonald in this House, we have a lot to follow in your footsteps. I'd like to say a few words about my riding. I'm here today as one of 55 members, each of whom believes that they come from the best riding in New Brunswick. I'd like to offer a few reasons why I love Fredericton Silverwood. First of all, it's an urban riding, although, like most ridings in New Brunswick, it also has a few farms. So issues of agriculture will never be far from my mind. But it is truly an urban riding. When you travel from here into the riding, which is only a block away, beginning on Regent Street, you'll first find the downtown core. And this is close to my heart because many of my personal friends are members of that community. They're owners of small businesses here in Fredericton, and they're very anxiously looking to our government for what we can deliver to them as small business people. They've been suffering under the burden inflicted on them in the last 4 years by the previous government of quite onerous small business tax. So I look forward to the day where this government can help them reduce that burden. As I've mentioned, many of these businesses are privately owned, and so these people too have homes in the riding, and they're looking forward to the day when we can deal with the property tax issues that they face. Also in the riding is the uptown core, which many of us know for its shopping. And it's part of what makes Fredericton Silverwood great, because again, it's a lot of small business owners. And those people are very strong contributors to our community here. As well in the riding, you have a number of bedroom communities. And in those communities, there are geographical communities, but there are also social communities made up of the various members of people that contribute to our society. In my riding, there are a large number of civil servants, and we look on them as the backbone of government. They are the stability that, depending on how the government changes, they provide that stability that helps us to govern and helps us to serve the people of New Brunswick. And this government is committed to consultation. It's the buzzword of this government. And you can be certain, Mr. Speaker, that this government will consult those civil servants going forward and take their advice very seriously. And I look forward to working with my constituents and with my colleagues in this House to listen to their advice and bring that forward as government, as good government. We also have, as a social community, a lot of students. I don't have that university in my riding, or I don't have the universities in my riding, but I have a lot of students that live here. And those students, as we've seen them come to the House on various occasions, they provide us a reminder of the fact that the work we do here is for the future of New Brunswick. There's also a large community in my riding of new Canadians, and we welcome these communities to the riding. This again is to our future, and these are very important steps to building a community of the future, and we very much value our multicultural and our immigrant communities here in Fredericton Silverwood. Aussi, il y a une grande et fière communauté francophone dans ma circonscription, et je vais travailler fort pour améliorer les liens avec cette communauté qui a une population toujours grandissante. One of the things that I do love about Fredericton, and in particular Fredericton Silverwood, is the beautiful architecture that we have. As you go through the city, you'll see fine examples from our public buildings to private houses. And you can see the pride that Frederictonians take in their physical, geographical, and architectural surroundings. It's a beautiful city, and I'm proud to be a representative of it. Also in the riding, you'll find, of course, the City Hall. And I do want to acknowledge publicly today my gratitude for our city staff and our elected city councillors, and of course our mayor. These people work hard. The remuneration they receive is not great. They work long hours, and a lot of their work is volunteer. And they have built for us a great city to call our capital. I'd like to take a few minutes and say thank you to the people who helped me get here. Today in the gallery we're joined by my Riding Association President, Marty Lou Neal. Marty Lou is a longtime Frederictonian, much like me, not born here, but a Frederictonian nonetheless. And she has contributed a lot to this community, in the cultural realm and in the political realm. Marty Lou helped me get here by long hours of volunteer labor. And often in political campaigns, we forget that our volunteers are in fact volunteers. It's so important to us, we treat them as staff sometimes. But we always have to remind ourselves that they're volunteers. And Marty Lou Neal is an example of the people that have helped me get here and that have worked hard because they believe in our system and they believe that what we can deliver. As well, I'd like to say a few words of thanks to my campaign manager, who's not able to be with us here today, Doug Williams. Many of you know Doug Williams. Those that don't, I'm sure, will come to know him as they frequent his excellent restaurant here in Fredericton. Doug is another person who has given tirelessly, and often at the expense of his own personal business. And I just want to say publicly my thanks to Doug. There are a lot of others who helped on my campaign, Mr. Speaker, and they're really too numerous to mention. So I won't go through them all here, but these people serve as examples to all of us of the volunteers that helped us get here today. I also do want to say a word of thanks to my previous mentor, the Honourable Peter MacKay, who was a great mentor to me personally and showed me firsthand what a good politician is and how a good politician can serve his community. And I really appreciate the personal example that he has shown me. I'd also like to thank some friends and supporters who aren't in the riding, but who have nonetheless provided support. From the riding of Grand Lake Gagetown, Heather Dunbar, Aubrey Elliott have made Minto a second home to me, and I very much appreciate their friendship and support over the years. As well, from the riding of York, David and Linda Jackson, also good friends, also great personal examples. And I would like to take a moment to acknowledge another person that's here with us today, my mother, Jeannie Macdonald. It's difficult for me to express all of my gratitude toward my mother, so I'm not going to try and do it here today. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about the duties that I've taken on as MLA. As we all know, our first job as an MLA is to our riding, to the citizens of our riding. And as the member for Miramichi Southwest put it so eloquently, we have to work hard for the members of our riding, and that is our first duty. And no MLA will succeed in this House if they don't make that their foundation. And I believe that in my core. As well, I've been honored by the Premier by being asked to take on the role as government whip. And this is an onerous responsibility, and it's one I take very seriously. It's an ancient post, and it's a proud post, and it's one that I will attempt to carry with dignity and with respect to all of our members here in the House. Also, I'd like to speak a little bit about my role as Legislative Secretary. The title is specifically Legislative Secretary to the Premier for Intergovernmental and Military Affairs. And I'd like to take a little slice out of that and talk to you about the part that's new, which is the military affairs portion. As you know, New Brunswick has a proud military heritage. from the native warriors that first guarded this land, to the French that garrisoned forts such as Fort Beauséjour, to the British soldiers, such as the families of the 42nd Highlanders, the Black Watch, who landed on the mouth of the Tay River and settled in the land grants that made this province. We have a long and strong and proud military heritage. And I'm really honored to take on the position as Legislative Secretary in this role so that I can honor that heritage. And I see there's a number of parts to my job. The first part is ceremonial. And one of the things that we do well in this House, and that the military does very well, is honor our existence as humans through ceremony. And we have rituals and ceremony that involve often music, and the military is particularly good at this. And I'm looking forward to my role as being part of that. I was very honored to be asked to be the parade marshal for the Fredericton, and in fact the provincial Remembrance Day ceremony. And on that parade, it really caused me to reflect, because I stood in front of the Legion, of which I'm a member, and I looked at that crowd, that auspicious crowd of veterans. And I was very humbled, because there I was standing in front of them. The reason I was in front of them wasn't necessarily my position, but it's the reality that none of them are really physically able anymore to hold that position as parade marshal. And it caused me to reflect on that. It also, so a generation is very much passing, and we are soon to see the end, unfortunately, of those Second World War and Korean War veterans. We're very close to that. And the other thing it caused me to reflect on is the fact that there is a new generation of veterans out there. A new generation of veterans from beyond Korea, from the peacekeeping era, and now from the war in Afghanistan. And I'm proud to be one of those veterans. And it caused me to reflect on what the future is going to hold for those veterans. And that's another role, I believe, that is very important as Legislative Secretary, is to be an advocate, to listen to those veterans, and be an advocate for their needs. Because as the years pass between the war and what lies in our future, it is going to be increasingly difficult for those people to be recognized and receive the help that they need. And we need to make the same commitment to those veterans as we've made to our veterans in their past, and honor them through their lives and care for them through their lives. So I stand very much committed to that, as does this government. Another aspect of the role of Legislative Secretary is a more practical one, and that is connecting the military to the Department of Public Safety. Because as we sit so close to the St. John River here, we all know that those waters can rise. And it's often the military and the Emergency Measures Organization that comes to our rescue. As the floodwaters come lapping at the foot of the legislature steps, we're calling on the military to come help us. And I'm looking forward to being part of that with the Minister of Public Safety to make sure those links, the liaison ties between the military and our province are well joined up. And that's another part of the responsibility as Legislative Secretary. As well, I think there's another component that holds a bright future, and that is the economic component. Federally, we've contributed a tremendous amount to our defense, and that offers us an opportunity here in New Brunswick. With each defense purchase, there are industrial regional benefits, and there are lots of companies here in New Brunswick that are already participating in defense contracts. Companies from Fredericton here, such as X-Wave. As well, the university stands to be a center of excellence for a number of developmental areas which may have defense applications. And I look forward to working with the defense community and with our industrial base here in New Brunswick to develop those links and to maximize our opportunities in those markets. And that's where I see as real growth potential from this position. Mr. Speaker, it's been an honor to speak here today for my first time. I would like to just conclude again by saying that it is an honor and a privilege to serve the people of Fredericton Silverwood here in this House. I am confident in our government. I am confident in the leadership offered by our Premier. I'm very proud to be a part of it, and I look forward to working hard for the people of Fredericton Silverwood. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.